Welcome to the meeting of the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. I'm Jack Walsh, the chair, and here with us we have Susan Honda and Lydia Cefa-Dawson, other committee members, and also Council President Linda Kochmar, Council Member Jack Dobie, and Council Member Paul McDaniel. And we will go ahead and get started. Is there any public comment? No public comment. All right, then on to committee business. Item A, approval of the summary minutes.
I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Thank you. And on to item B, First Amendment to the Interlocal Cooperative Agreement regarding the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team, VNet. And I don't see Casey Jones here. Oh, our,
No, he's not here yet. Can we put the second one ahead? I think Mike.
You could do his
oh,
first.
oh,
Yeah. The next time.
okay, all right, let's go on and we will come back to B. Item C then, 2025-2026 Police Services Agreement with the MGP XI Commons West LLC. And Commander Hodge.
Welcome, committee. Thank you for having me. I have the honor of the Deputy Chief and Chief letting me come up here to present in front of you guys today. I am honored to be here, so thank you very much for having me here. In front of you, the policy question is, should the City of Federal Way enter into a service agreement with MGP X1 Commons West LLC to continue providing security services to the Commons Mall in Federal Way? The financial impact, the revenue to the city for providing police services to the Commons Mall will be $275,476.78 in 2025, and $285,116.69 in 2026. Funding for the agreement is credited to the PD budget and monthly instruments and monthly installments. A little background: the Federal Police has been working in the mall for quite a long time. I was one of the first officers to work in the mall, and I know the impact that it has in the community. It gives officers the opportunity to interact with the citizens, and it dehumanizes us where we are actually friendly and talking to them, and they enjoy having us there. It's a great resource for the city, it's a great resource for the officers, and the citizens enjoy having officers there. When I was in their mall, they made a comment that we're one of the only few people in the state of Washington that still has officers in the mall, so it did make them feel safe. So I encourage you guys to approve this amendment moving forward. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So my question is, over the years, the mall or the Commons has become less and less busy. There's not as many stores as there was before. So the 3 officers that we have we always had 3 officers, and do they actually need 3 officers at this point at the Commons?
Yes. Well, we haven't always had 3. We used to have 2, but because of the uptake in crimes, we went to 3 a few years back. I don't know exactly when we went to 3, but it does help out quite a bit for patrol. The mall is very busy with thefts, and if we were to have a patrol officer take it, they would be taken away from servicing the rest of the city. So having an officer there not only shows that the city is committed to the community involvement, the COP, and also has a good impression on the city and the city citizens who go there to the mall. As far as do we need them there and could we go down 1, I don't think we should. I think there's a 24-hour coverage where we have someone there every day, and that's the reason why we have 3, where there are still officers are still to have work their 4 10s and have 3 days off. If we went to something else, we would have to switch their schedules to where they weren't working the preferred schedule that they have now.
Okay, and so as we have less stores there than we've had before, is there more crime there now than there was, let's say, 10 years ago? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head on that. I do know that the mall officers do stay busy with their frauds and the shoplifts and the thefts and everything that they do. They still stay busy
Okay,
in the area, and especially with the involvement with the community. I think the mall, having officers in the mall, a really big thing is the community involvement, which they're able to do with the community, and the community seeing them there and then feeling safe and coming to the mall. So that is a big part why we want to continue to have 3 officers there 24/7 when the mall's open.
and we used to have a storefront where it said police and people could go in there. And I know we don't have that anymore. Is there a reason with the empty spaces that we can't have that?
I would have to talk to the mall management. I know we still do have a substation there. I don't know about our storefront right now at this
Okay.
time, why they don't want it or why we don't have it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Stephen Dodson.
Yeah, so they do pay us for the service?
Yes.
And so if we were not to have this MOU, and let's say we say no to it, does that mean we'll lose 3 officers? Or at least 2 officers?
Well, we would lose the money paying for those 3 officers. They would come out the mall and probably be back in patrol. They do pay for a certain amount, so we could lose some officers, yes.
Okay. But if there was a call for service, then we'll definitely show up?
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not
Yes.
we have people there? Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Daniel.
Yeah, first one is, what hours do these officers work then?
They, from Monday, let me get this right, because I supervise them, so I should know this. Monday through Saturday, it is 11 to 9, and I believe on Sunday, it is 9 to 7.
And these officers, they are stationed at the mall, right? They stay there, they're not going out and doing patrols anywhere else?
Well, if something happens big in the city, we're going to have all officers respond. If it's an active shooter or something like that, but their main priority is the mall, but they can assist elsewhere if an emergency comes up.
Gotcha. And then these 3 officers are not counted in the patrol, or are they counted in patrol?
They are not counted in patrol.
Okay. So they don't count when we do the 4, is it 4 different areas that we do right now for patrols?
You mean the shifts?
I thought it was like, the
The districts?
region, is it districts?
No, yes, the district. No, they don't count for the districts.
Oh, districts, okay, that was the term I was looking for. And the last one is the funding that comes into it. Is it a break even for this one? I think I probably asked it last year, but I forgot. Is it a break even, or is it about a loss or a little gain?
I
on
think
that
it's a
one?
little bit lost. I think they pay a certain percentage. They pay a certain percentage, they don't pay the full amount.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Council President.
So if this has already been asked, I apologize. I had to step out for a minute. But so I really appreciate what you're doing at the mall, because this is why. I actually had somebody email me last night saying they were not going to go to a grocery store near the mall anymore in the evening because it wasn't safe. And so, but I never hear that about the mall, not inside the mall, maybe in the parking lot, but anyway, so I do realize that that's been an impact. It sounds like an expensive proposition, but I do appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. Councilmember Dovey.
Wouldn't it cost us more as a police department if we didn't do this? Because we would get the calls anyway to the mall, and it would take away from patrol to go to the mall to do what they do. So when you mentioned that we pay a little bit, they don't reimburse 100%, but actually, if you think about it, they're probably paying more than 100% because we'd be sending people there anyway for calls. Is that the right way to think about it?
That is the right way to think about it, sir. The call for services would go up, and it'd be longer to take care of the citizens in the federal way because of the calls from services from the mall that we would have to respond to in a time. A forgery and a fraud and a theft, usually they work those and they do them all the way from beginning to end. Could take, an hour up to a couple of hours if it's a thorough investigation. So yes, we are definitely saving time and money by having them in the mall.
Councilmember Honda, do you have another question?
I do. So my line of questioning was not that I don't support having the officers at the mall. I'm just curious, as the mall is not as busy with the stores, the amount of stores that we used to have. And so that was my questioning was if we still needed to have 3 officers there because of the lack of the stores there. So I think it's a good idea to have officers there. And I would support this, but I'm just curious as to needing to have 3 there. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. I'm assuming that was a statement, not a question?
It was a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I think the questions have been, thank you for answering the question so succinctly. One quick question, the next item, item D, it seems to be a repeat of the same one. Is that just a misprint in the,
It's not. So the mall ownership split into 2 different entities, and we have a contract with both entities before you, so.
Okay.
I think you could, if there are no additional questions, the committee could take one item right after another. It needs 2 separate motions, but
Okay.
it's all the same transaction essentially. It's just one with Part A and Part B with
Okay.
mall ownership.
all right, sounds good. All right, if there's no other questions, do we have a motion for item C?
I move to forward the proposed services agreement to the September 16th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and unanimous. And for item D, do we have a motion on it? Or is there any further discussion? No?
Oh, I will find it, just a second. I would imagine it says the very same thing, so.
I think it says the identical
I'll go ahead
thing.
and do it. I move to
Okay.
forward the proposed service agreement to the September 16, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, it is unanimous. Boy, I think that last one was the quickest thing we've ever had in.
I like that, sir.
So,
Thank you.
All right, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you, council.
And has, nope, I'm in the light back there, I'm having a hard time seeing who it is. All right, so on to item E, electrical services
I
authorization.
think he's,
Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
If you'd like to hear from me now.
All right, item B, First Amendment to the Interlocal Cooperative Agreement regarding the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team, VNet.
Good evening, council. I apologize. I got pulled aside earlier. I thank you to Commander Hodge for stepping in my place and taking care of his item. Again, council and committee, today we are presenting before you a First Amendment to the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team current agreement, and this amendment has a few provisions in it that change and alter the current and already approved agreement that was presented previously. The Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team is a entity that is a multi-agency response team that does coordinate drug and narcotics enforcement throughout the region. They partner with the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, as part of that enforcement authority, and they work to pool together resources and staff as drug crimes and narcotics investigations often move between jurisdictions. This helps to transition and smooth out those pieces of investigations and allows us to collaborate and really condense our training, our budgets, and our investigations, so there's not a lot of duplication of efforts, and we can focus in on the targets on the larger scale investigations that would be more burdensome to us to try to handle locally with our current unit. The previously agreed upon agreement has no financial impact to the city, the salaries or benefits as it pertains to this amendment adopted to this. This amendment has 4 provisions in it that are modified. The first one changes the current membership of participating agencies in VNet. The Port of Seattle and Seattle have pulled out from this partnership, so it remains with the remaining Valley agencies. That's the first amendment to this. The second amendment in this adopted agreement brings in the authority for the fiscal agent to make some contract agreements and things that are needed for leasing and those things that the DEA no longer provides for. And so the fiscal agent will be able to facilitate those on behalf of the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team. The third point is some indemnity language that was changed to incorporate provisions for all agencies involved in those incidents, that they share liability if something was to go wrong. And the fourth component is related to mutual aid requirements. And with the removal of those two jurisdictions previously, making sure that we're in compliance with mutual aid agreements. Those are the main pieces of the changes to the original agreement, and I would recommend moving forward on that. We do have a participant with Federal Way, a detective who works with the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team. He's very proactive with the team, and we've seen some good results working on larger scale operations, including this year when he participated in transferring over a case that started by patrol officers on an overdose and was a very large drug operation, and he's assumed the rest of that investigation. I can't speak to the details as it's still ongoing, but it is a valuable asset to the city to take on some of these higher level criminal activities that really do impact other areas of the city and the region, and try to get a handle on some of these narcotics trafficking and production investigations. And I'm happy to answer any questions related to this amendment if you have any.
All right. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So Seattle and the Port of Seattle have pulled out. Do they have their own unit then that handles their own area?
I'm not aware of their operational status as far as if they have any other teams that they participate in. For us, within the Federal Way Police Department, we have our Special Investigations Unit. They handle the smaller drug crimes investigations that are more localized to within our city. So they may have a component like that, but I can't speak to what their overall operational, facilities have. But we find it a value to be participating in this group, and I don't know the reason why they chose not to.
Did this group participate in the recent drug enforcement that picked up all of the thousands of fentanyl pills coming in from Mexico? It was just a couple weeks ago.
I'm not sure if our group participated in that or not. I have to do some research and get back to you. I know it was a larger scale operation. I did see it in the news, but I'm not positive that our group was a participant in that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Council President.
Thank you. Could you give us your name again, please?
I apologize. Michael Coffey, I'm one of the commanders with Federal Way.
Commander Coffey, thank you so much. I knew you weren't Casey, so thank you.
He had a previous engagement. He had to step out for this, and so I'm filling in. I
Sure.
apologize.
No problem.
That's why I didn't think that you were
Couldn't
here yet,
you?
because I was looking back and I said, hey, that doesn't look like Casey, so anyway.
I forgot that the agenda did not get updated, and I apologize.
Oh, no,
All right,
that's
no
okay.
problem.
We're fine.
All right.
So a couple of questions for me, and just in general. I've been hearing on the news about this new drug that is being manufactured. It's actually from China, being manufactured in China and coming through Mexico. That's 40 times as lethal as fentanyl. Have we seen that showing up in our area?
We see such a wide variety of various drugs and the after effects of that through overdoses and illness with substance use disorder. I would imagine if it's within the region, we would see it here in Federal Way, unfortunately. We see some of the overdose through some of the overdose reports that I get of a lot of polysubstance use. So I know fentanyl and the derivatives of fentanyl and these synthetic opioids are prevalent within the region. I imagine we could have seen it. I don't know specifically of a case that I could cite where we have had that, but the regional teams are working collaboratively, and I know that it's prevalent throughout the region. I recently sat in on a DEA conference where they were talking about a lot of the drug seizures and criminal things are down in some areas of the country, but in the Northwest region, we are seeing continued increases, which are not necessarily consistent with the other parts of the country. So it's very likely that we are seeing those things. I just don't have a case to cite for that.
So we don't, Narcan won't touch that, correct? Is there any antidote?
I know there are some substances that Narcan is not effective against. I don't know if there is another substance that does reverse the effects of that.
Okay.
With fentanyl and some of the other synthetic opioids, I know Narcan is effective, and even some of the carfentanil but it takes additional dosage. But I apologize, I forget the term that they use for this newer drug.
Yeah, it's a weird name, and it was hard
Yes.
for me to keep remembering it. So are the kids, the high school kids, are they getting this off Craigslist, or how are they getting their hands on this stuff?
That is why we have teams like the Valley Narcotics Enforcement Team, is to try to track those sources down, where they're coming from. Where people get drugs varies. We are being very proactive with our drug enforcement. Our Special Operations Unit has really taken an emphasis on being out there in the public, visible, and in taking drug enforcement actions, and then trying to build those. When we get larger cases, we give them to our narcotics enforcement team, and they try to track those down. But finding and identifying one particular source, is really tough to, I don't think it's a social media thing. I think it's word of mouth. So-and-so has a substance, and they can get it from there.
Sure, so I forgot what the little blue pill was called. I'm sure it's changed over the years, but kids always thought it was like a tranquilizer, or, I
Yeah,
forgot
and
what it's called.
they're commonly referred to as like blues or M30 pills.
That's it, and they're stamped with the M30.
They are stamped with M30. They can be stamped by illicit drug manufacturers and have fentanyl laced with them, and there's trouble with consistency and those kind of things. Those are what we see oftentimes sold on the street.
Yeah.
And, in listening to that DEA supervisor speak, we're seeing even kind of a retro drug usage and pop up with cocaine and some other things that we haven't seen for a while is presenting again. Cocaine and powdered fentanyl, and so these are all substances that we're trying to keep up to speed on.
Sure.
That's where these partnerships with the DEA are really helpful in getting us some of that information on a more national level that we can kind of see and try to be proactive in getting into the dealers and stopping this flow into Federal Way.
Sure, so two more questions. Are we doing anything in the schools to educate the kids?
I know our school resource officers are in there. The school district, I'm sure, has some sort of educational program. I can't speak to that, but
Yeah.
I know our school resource officers are working with students, and they're taking, if there are drug investigation cases that come in the schools, especially the high schools where we have various school resource officers, they're taking those tasks on.
Yeah.
But, the education has been out there for a number of years, and it can always be better. We can always try to, provide more training and education.
Yeah.
But I can't speak to what the school district might have in their program as well.
Yeah, I used to work with kids in juvenile detention, and back then they were called, it's like baby stuff now, but it was like mollies and LSD, and it was prevalent, but not prevalent like today. And it would scare me silly to think that I would be around that kind of stuff. And the kids today think it's like natural. I can't believe that. But my last question is, we're on the I-5 corridor. Do we see more of that here, coming up from California, coming up from Mexico, than the east side does because of the I-5 corridor?
I would have to do some research to make that determination. I know Federal Way being in the location that it is, in between Seattle and Tacoma, we do get a higher volume of traffic through there. I can see where that could be a factor in this. I don't have a specific statistic to say we see that higher level. I know in getting the updates I'm getting from our detective who's working with VNet, that, we are seeing multi-state operations, things that the DEA gives us some more enforcement tools in there, running up and down the West Coast, California, Arizona, those kind of things. So we do see trafficking stuff coming in and through Federal Way. I don't know that it specifically pertains to the I-5 corridor, or if it's just kind of where we're at between these two slightly larger cities of Seattle and Tacoma, if we're just kind of the middle ground of that gets the kind of bleed over or peripheral from what they're seeing there. I'm sure if you've been to the city of Seattle, what you observe out in public is a direct representation of kind of the prolificness of drug usage. That's what we're hoping to be able to mitigate some of those things at our patrol level with our special operations, but then be proactive and productive in the higher level components of that through interstate stuff and larger scale operations that really will affect the people who are dealing and not necessarily dealing with the people who have the substance use disorders and those kind of pieces where enforcement is important there, but stemming the root of that is going to be a higher impact than the other pieces of it.
Sure. So thank you for and one last thing I'd just like to say to our Parks Chair. It would appear to me that I worry about this stuff, obviously, because it's affected my own family. But I'm wondering if maybe next year we might talk about some kind of educational forum for parents. We're always talking about getting to the kids, but a lot of our parents really don't have any idea what's going on out there. And it
Yeah.
might be a nice idea, maybe in our retreat, we might talk about that.
I
Some
think
kind of
that'd be
an
a good idea.
educational forum and just have people come and,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's at the community center or a large venue, and have
Mm-hmm.
them come and talk about what's going on,
Yeah.
either in their households or their neighborhoods or their fears, or, I think it'd be,
I'd say one of the first things we need to find out what the school district is or is not doing.
I would like to
And then make
know
sure
that.
there's, that it's, complements that.
Okay, could I ask you to kind of bring that
Yeah,
forward?
okay. All right,
Thanks, thank you.
all right. If there's no other questions, do we have a motion? And thank you, Commander Coffey.
Yep. Again, I apologize. Thank you to Commander Hodge for stepping in my place in that. And I'll introduce myself next time, and hopefully won't present myself as Deputy Chief Jones. So I appreciate that you recognize that I was not him, and we got that clarified. So thank you for that.
All right. Right.
It
Thank
was
you.
a uniform. Just-
Commander Hodge was, yes.
No, your lack of uniform.
Oh, I apologize. I was trying to blend in today.
I move to forward the proposed amendment to the interlocal agreement to the September 16th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It passes unanimously, and thank you once again, Commander Coffey.
Thank you, Council Committee. Appreciate it.
All right, and next, item E, electrical services authorization to bid, and it looks like we have George Richin. At first, I thought that we were going to have somebody else, and I was thinking, boy, George has
He's my
grown a
relief
lot more
pitcher.
hair lately, but.
He's,
so-
if I need to call in a lefty, I go to
Okay,
him,
all right.
so. Good evening, Council President. Welcome back after having August off. Hopefully you guys got to go out there and do something kind of fun, but now we're back at it. George Richin, your Parks and Facilities Manager, and the first question I have before you tonight is, should the City Council authorize staff to request bids for electrical services? Little bit on the financial on this. The cost of the city was included within the budget, within the approved budget under the Parks Department repair and maintenance service budget and the building maintenance service budget. In accordance with the approved budget, this item is funded by the general fund. Upon completion of awarding electrical services bid, future costs will be due to ongoing costs associated with operations and maintenance. Further background, Parks and Facilities Department is responsible for maintaining and operating a wide range of public assets, including City Hall, athletic fields, community centers, park shelters, playgrounds, restrooms, and specialized facilities. Many of these locations rely on increasingly complex electrical systems to power lighting, IT equipment, police infrastructure, irrigation controls, security systems, scoreboards, HVAC units, and other essential infrastructure. While basic maintenance can often be performed by in-house staff, the department frequently encounters electrical issues that require expertise of a licensed electrician. These needs range from advanced troubleshooting and repairs to upgrades for aging systems that no longer meet current safety codes. Additionally, the department must be able to respond quickly to emergency situations as lighting outages at athletic fields during evening events, failures of restroom facility power systems, or weather-related damage to electrical panels and circuits. Having an on-call electrician under contract ensures that these urgent needs can be addressed promptly, minimizing downtime, maintaining public safety, and reducing the risk of further damage or costly repairs. So the options before you are authorize staff to request bids for electrical services, do not authorize, or do not authorize and provide direction to staff. Mayor's recommendation is option 1. And with that, I open it up to any questions.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Do we have any licensed electricians on staff?
We don't, that I know of.
Would it be beneficial to try to hire someone like that?
I think we've tried in the past, and the scale for what a licensed electrician, what a Sparky usually gets, that's what I call them in the trade, they're Sparkies, is pretty high. I don't think we would be able to afford them.
Oh, okay.
They make a pretty good coin.
Okay. And how much is this in the budget? What are we asking for?
Probably going to go for a contract, probably a 3-year contract for about $300,000.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, do we have a motion?
Okay. I move to forward the proposed request to solicit bids for electrical services to the September 16th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Awesome.
Thank you, and I
Thank
think
you.
you have the next one as
I've got the
well.
next one, yep.
Sacagawea turf replacement.
Yes, this one's a little bit meatier. It's got a little bit more to it. Policy question before you. Upon award, should the council authorize the acceptance of a King County Parks grant in the amount of $705,796 and approve entering into a KCDA contract with Field Turf USA for the replacement of artificial turf at Sacagawea Park in the amount of $806,996.93, and further authorize and allocate the release of $101,200.93 from King County Parks levy funds to cover the funding delta. And the finances on the back of this, this item was not included within the approved budget for the replacement of the turf. As proposed, the majority will be funded by a grant from King County Parks Capital Project and Open Space Grant in the amount of $705,796, pending City Council acceptance. Additionally, the Parks Department is requesting allocation and authorization to fund the delta in the amount of $101,200.93 from the King County Parks Levy Fund. Upon completion of Sacagawea turf replacement, future costs will be associated with ongoing operations and maintenance. And the further background on this, Sacagawea was identified as a high-priority site for improvements due to the condition of its artificial turf field and surrounding track, which both have reached the end of their useful life. The park is heavily used community asset, serving local youth sports leagues, school programs, and community recreation. The aging turf has increasing maintenance needs, poses safety concerns, and is no longer meeting the performance standards expected for safe and reliable play. Recognizing these challenges, Federway Park staff applied for a King County Parks Capital Project grant requesting $1 million to support the replacement of both the turf and the track surfaces. After review of all submitted applications, King County Parks recommended an award of $705,796 for Sacagawea Park project. While this funding does not cover the full scope of the turf and the track replacement, it will fund the majority of the turf replacement, addressing the most immediate need for safe and reliable play space. Federal Public Schools is a partner in this project, and park staff are in negotiations with them to finalize an update to the interlocal agreement and what funding they will bring to this project. The Parks Department is committed to leveraging this grant along with King County Parks levy funds to ensure the turf is replaced for the safety, well-being, and benefit of the community. And the options to consider before you are approve grant acceptance, contract award, and release of levy funds, or do not approve and provide direction to staff. Excuse me. Mayor's recommendation is option 1, and with that, I'm sure you got some questions.
Yeah, actually, I'll lead with the question on this. With the school district, I mean, if we're authorizing this, I mean, obviously, it needs to be taken care
Yes.
of, and we have a great grant to help with it. But with authorizing this additional 101,000, isn't that kind of giving the school district the idea, well, hey, the city's got it taken care of, we don't need to worry about it?
Well, my main concern is that we don't let this opportunity pass by while we're still working things out with the school district. Deputy Director Gerwin and I are under the assumption, if you want to weigh in, we're under the assumption we're asking the school district to fund this, because in the real world, if we did not have this grant here, it would be $400,000 for one, $400,000 for another. In this instance, we're we basically went out and got 700,000 of this field, basically almost 90% of it, 85% or so. And for them to come, 101,000 is a bargain to replace this. So we feel that they should, but I don't want to let that stop us from the replacement, if that makes sense. Go ahead.
And part of this is about timing. We're trying to get this on the calendar and get this field replaced before the weather turns, when that field is needed most. And we are at risk that we would maybe have to close this field in the winter if we don't replace it sooner. It is our full intent that we don't want to spend any of this 101,000, 102 for round numbers and conversation's sake at all. We believe that is the school district's responsibility. We just don't have that commitment yet. So this is about a timing issue and keeping a community asset safe and open to the public. It's also a revenue generator.
And it's also timing, once again, too. We have World Cup coming up. It sure would be nice to get on the books with Field Turf because they do get busy. And I would like to get it done before that happens. That would be nice to have it
All right.
done.
Thank you. Councilmember Rasefa Dawson.
Sure. Thank you. My first question is, it was not in the budget for this
No.
project? So why was not in the budget? Why was it not in the budget?
So the grant wasn't available at the time. We have this on our wait list with the finance department. We've known that this field needs to be replaced, so didn't have funds to allocate in the 25-26 budget process. George spent a lot of work and went out and found the money for us. And so we got your permission to apply for that grant. We now have been told we will be awarded. It hasn't officially been awarded by King County. That's why the policy question says upon award. And so now that we are going to be awarded this money, your acceptance of the grant allows us to roll that into the budget. And Finance Director Groom is bringing a budget adjustment forward here in the next couple meetings. And this will be included and rolled into the budget as part of that process.
Okay, so if the school district steps up, could this money be used elsewhere, or is this specifically for the Sacagawea?
The 700,000 is specifically for Sacagawea Field. That is what they appropriated for. The 102,000 that we're asking for King County levy, it's our intention that we're returning that to the King County levy or unallocated funds, and we will come to you when the next project is due and needs some funding and ask for it to be allocated for that one. But it's all a timing thing in our factor here, hence why we're asking it. In a perfect world, we wouldn't even be asking it for you. We'd already have that commitment from Federal Way Public Schools. Unfortunately, we don't have that commitment at this time. It's been talked about. They're well aware of what we're proposing. We just don't have that final answer.
So this could actually make them not participate because they know this money's coming.
I don't think that's the case because they are an active partner in this. They are a majority user of the field, and they're having to pay 1/4 of what they would have had to have paid had we not gone out and gotten this grant. Now, I'm not saying there couldn't be some because this is an active negotiation that, I don't know, you find a different split in that. But again, what city staff is working to move forward is that 102,000, it's the school district responsibility, and we'll return that.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, we'll vet that with the mayor and bring that forward if that's necessary.
No, I appreciate your effort, and thank you for doing this, for sure.
Right. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. When was the turf last replaced?
2012?
I thought it was 2019.
No, that
was-
was the Holly.
We went through this morning. We had a long discussion.
Because we did something at Sacagawea in the last 5 years or so, didn't we? Didn't we
No, it was
update something?
2015. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's at least 10 years old. I want to say it's even older
Okay.
than that.
Yeah. And so with that, at the time we did the last field, it was a combined project of the track and the field, but we had to do major drainage improvements on the field, and we had to re-asphalt around the track before the rubberized surface could be there.
Just recently we did that.
No, this is back in 2015, 2014, somewhere in that timeframe. This field is over 10 years old.
Yeah. it's-
Okay. Because I thought something with the track and the rocks getting
That's
into
the Holly.
That's the Holly, yep.
That's the Holly?
Yeah, we just did the field at Saholly in 2019, still looks good. And we did the track in 2022. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So how long do we expect this turf to last?
Well, that's the thing is now they're stretching it. We're getting basically the same kind of field like we have at Sahalee, which is, it's a better brown carpet now. They're just, with improvements, they keep getting better and better in their technology. But the pad that we're putting underneath it, it's called the elastomeric or the E-layer. It's 25 millimeter, almost an inch. And if you've walked on carpet pads, you know when you get that thicker pad, it just has that choicer kind of plush feel to it. It also extends the warranty of the field. I was talking to the rep Donnie Jones, and he says we can get, they'll warranty it out to 13, 14 years now.
Oh, cool.
And so part of that shift that happened on the last Sahalee field is big reason we were having to replace them on that 8 to 10 year time frame was due to safety. And it's all about head impact attenuation.
Yeah.
Kids falling and hitting their heads, and can the surface material attenuate enough so that you don't cause injury. And so when we did the Sahalee field was the first E-layer that we did, and it's been tremendously successful. The E-layer can stay down for 25 to 30 years and have that safety. You just have to replace the carpet about every, now they're saying 12 to 14 years maybe. I think 14 would be a little long in a public setting, but you're still going to get a few more years out of it than previous.
Well, that leads me to my next question is Lakota Park. I know a young woman who, when she was in 6th grade, stood right where you are. She's 23 now. And she asked that Lakota Park be replaced. And she was told, oh, yes, it'll happen. She's 23, it hasn't happened yet. I've heard from teams that use Lakota for their practice field that they're concerned that their kids are going to get hurt because of the hole or the holes in the turf, and that they're getting injuries. So safety-wise, we got an issue at Lakota. What are we doing about that, and when will we ever do anything with Lakota? I mean, I appreciate that we are maintaining SAC and Sahalee, but we seem to let Lakota just slide by, waiting for the school district to come up with their magical half, which is not going to happen. It hasn't happened in all these years. I don't know why we would expect it to happen now. So what about Lakota, and how can we prevent kids from getting injured there when their coaches are telling me that they're very concerned about it?
So it's disappointing that coaches are telling you stuff that they haven't told us or our recreation manager. And so I will commit to George and I taking a walk tomorrow at Lakota Park and inspecting that. If there are holes like you say, then we need to do a round of turf maintenance and get material brought in, drag, smoothed out, and get seed into those bare areas. So that's what we do, and we will look into that one. Regarding the Lakota field, we set aside $750,000 after that meeting as a city to pay for our half of the field.
Yep.
We are currently sitting on $600,000. We had to borrow $150 of that when we replaced the Carl Grosch artificial turf field. And so part of this ILA negotiation expands a little bit. It used to be very heavy joint considerations at Sahalee, which was kind of the first park where we got into the partnership with Federal Way Public Schools. That expanded to SAC, and Lakota was in there, but really the school district didn't have much other than if they used their fields, they lined and maintained them or dragged them so they were ready for the games. And so this ILA expands some of that, where we're going to be utilizing some of their custodians to open restrooms, freeing up our staff to do some things. And so the agreement, this new agreement that's being negotiated, encompasses Lakota into that. And so to me, that binds the school district a little bit more. Now, we would be happy to put and make renovations at Lakota Park. We're the first in agreement. It's long overdue. It hasn't gotten its turn in my 19-year tenure. It's due for a turn. But that also means resources and money. And there's always competition for the limited budget dollars that are out there. I would love to see this policymaking board make parks a priority and start finding ways to fund not only our backlog of deferred maintenance, but a lot of the improvement projects that have been sitting on the wait list almost my entire career.
And if that's something you want to focus grant funding on, I'm all in. These guys know I'm crazy about trying to go after grants. Next one I was gonna go after this one is probably the dock. That thing needs to be replaced too. There's plenty of stuff that we have that we can apply for. So, yep, we can
So-
do that.
So with Lakota, is it, the goal is to use artificial turf there? Is that the goal?
So that's an item for discussion, Councilmember Honda, and because it's probably about 12 years old now, I'd have to go back and look at the year we did it, but it's about 2006, right when I was coming on, and we finished a master plan for Lakota Park that was done in conjunction. It was a very lofty master plan with lots of vision to make major improvements there. At the time, in 2006 dollars, you know, it was over 23 million in investment. That price now, I can't even venture a guess of what it would be. So I think our first step would be to consider reopening that master plan and adjusting it to 15-year laters and what are our priorities, and looking at it more with less with rose-colored glasses and more with reality and what can we actually afford and what kind of improvements can we make to this park. I think that's our first step. Then that gives us our compass bearing, gives council the ability to determine in budget processes where we send funding, and it also gives staff direction on where are we going after grants, what's the biggest priorities. And so we want to do something there, but again, it seems that the Parks Department is always kind of the last at the barrel to get allocations. It doesn't stop us from what we're doing, but we would welcome it, but it all comes down to dollars.
So Holly and Sac have artificial turf, and Lakota doesn't, or,
It has an all-weather field.
Yeah.
okay. So is the long-term vision, once again, to put the same type of turf there that Holly and Sac have?
I believe that would be staff's vision. I believe that would be what the community would tell us too, but I don't want to speak for the community without giving them that process and that option to weigh in.
So when the teams who rent Lakota, do they pay the same amount to rent Lakota as they would Sahali or Sac to do their practices and their games?
And Kevin Hutchinson, our recreation manager, he schedules those fields. I've looked at it. I don't know it as well as he does. I can get you that fee schedule to confirm whether it's the same or not, but I don't know off the top of my head. I
I'll jump
apologize.
in for a moment. I'm sorry, Jason,
No,
to
no,
interrupt.
it's great.
I believe we charge a little bit less at Lakota. We far less usage at Lakota. Our estimates are 70+% of the usage is actually school kids for school athletics. So there's a reason that we really strongly believe that the school district needs to be a financial partner. They are the major user of that facility and have been for many, many, many years. It is not as desirable to use, and it's not as playable as an all-weather field through tough weather. So it's not as heavily used. It doesn't have, probably from when I was doing athletics, probably a quarter of the use that it used to have. And that's for good reason. The school district has added other field turf fields. Decatur has a field turf field. Sahali has, or excuse me, Federal High School has 2 new fields. Thomas Jefferson has fields. Beamer has, all of those have come in since this other vision of Lakota. But we really do need the school district. And I don't want to characterize the school district as not being a good partner. They are a good partner. They are trying their best to work with us the best they possibly can. They've got financial constraints as well, and as we do, but we're hoping that they can find a way forward, not only on the Sacagawea turf, but also at Lakota. We really need a partner. It's just going to be too much for one entity, especially for an entity that doesn't control the major part of the use. The majority of the use is truly school kids and school athletics that we have nothing to do with.
Well, and I don't disagree with that, so I'm just trying to get it back in the forefront because.
No, and I appreciate it.
We used to have a lot of meetings about Lakota and let's do something with Lakota. And then these other parks have been taken care of, well, and Lakota hasn't been. I know improvements have been made to Lakota over the years, but not to the extent as the other parks. And I don't want us to forget that. And I don't want the school district to forget that, because it needs to be done for the community's sake.
And the school district also, I didn't mean to interrupt, Councilmember, but the school district has been a large financial partner in both Sacagawea projects and at Sahali projects in the past. They've been a major partner at both of those sites. Is that correct, Jason?
That's correct, yep.
I believe that's
Well,
correct.
maybe the Lakota parents need to come after us like they did before,
They need to go after
and the school district.
somebody else,
Yeah.
not us.
But
Really, the school board, they need to
Right.
go to the school board and have the school board needs to make that commitment to the city so that we can make that partnership.
I
into
agree with that.
reality.
I certainly agree with that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your discussion.
All right. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting we talk about Lakota. That was 1993 when Bill Allen brought the first $100 up here to redevelop it and Celebration Park was built. So, a lot of history there. But my question is, how much does the track cost?
The track at,
Well, you're talking about putting a field in, and you've done a great job getting grant money, and you're gonna use King County levy money, which that's what it's designed to do. What's the piece of the track which you said needs to be done? What's that look like? in
the
the-
full project, for what I was going after, why I was asking for $1 million, it would have been about 1.2. So there would have to be more, but that we'd have to come up with. That track is about 400,000 it needs work beyond just resurfacing, the one at Sacagawea. There's also roots that are intruding on the track that need, I think there was 300 linear feet where they would ditch, put in root barrier and drainage along the track to keep the roots from causing root heave on the track. So there would be repair on that also.
So with the King County levy of the park levy, which passed, correct?
It did.
And we're gonna get how many $1 million?
Hundreds of millions. I'm kidding.
Well, we're not, we're gonna get,
We're not going to get.
I think,
We're not getting
It's
that
about
much. I'm
6
kidding.
million over the
6 million.
5-year term.
5 million. Well, are we gonna use that for the track? I mean, it seems like we're,
That's a potential. That's the track as well as this field have been on our wait list.
But-
It's a matter of which are going to rise to the priority
Right,
for
but-
those levy funds.
but if you don't do them both at the same time, you're gonna go back and do it again, and it's gonna cost more, and you're gonna cause the whole thing to shut down again. I mean, why aren't we thinking about where can we allocate the other money to do it right the first time instead of doing it 2 steps?
Again, one of the reasons is City Federal Way does not have a track program. School district does.
Okay.
We would like them to be the partner.
Okay, but if somebody
Again.
gets hurt, who's responsible? You told me you just said it was a safety issue.
So currently, the artificial turf field has safety concerns.
Okay.
The track is a asphalt with a rubberized coating over the top. The rubberized coating is basically gone. You have a few areas where it's still intact, but there's not a safety hazard. So people
Okay.
can still walk, people can still run around it. It doesn't meet Washington State Athletic Code or, high school athletic code because it doesn't have the rubberized surfacing. But again, that doesn't impact our program, that impacts the school program.
But I guess my question is, again, I'm all for doing the field, but shouldn't we get an indemnification from the school district since they're the kids running on it, not us? And if
That's-
somebody gets hurt, that
That's
they,
the ILA serves that purpose.
okay, and when do we get that signed?
So the current ILA it's a perpetuity agreement, and it had originally been set to be renegotiated in like 2018.
Yeah.
We had started renegotiating it and then hit COVID. Everything stopped on that
Yeah, but
negotiation.
COVID's long gone.
Yeah,
We're in a
no,
new world.
absolutely.
So we can't blame everything on COVID anymore. That's
And
not
I'm not, and that's where we're only so many people in the Parks
I
Department,
get it.
and we're juggling a lot of things. And this has been on our radar, and we've wanted to do it for a couple of years, and we've
Okay.
actually had the capacity, and we're working to get that reinstated.
And negotiations have restarted, and we're very, very close. In fact, it just got sent to them today, kind of our final approved edits, and so we're coming together soon. Jason just sent it off today to their people, and it's been fruitful. I think our relationship is strong, and our negotiations have been very positive.
Okay. Well, good. I think we should get this field done right away, because you got the grant, and the other money's gonna come from the levy you have set aside anyway, so this means you're just gonna defer something else, right? I mean, the 107.
It's always a matter of priorities. We have more things on the wait
I
list
got,
than
I
we have
got,
money
I
for,
mean,
so.
everybody in the world has more
Yep.
things they want to buy than they can afford, so, you know, it's just priorities. But I do think, once we start this, we should proactively, even though you got a negotiation going with the school district, put them on notice that they're responsible for the track. If somebody gets hurt, it's not our problem, because they're the ones using it.
I agree 100%.
Does that come from our legal department when we do this, or do we just say we agree? And
We'll
do
bring it up in a negotiation in our next meeting with them and say, look, we have concerns, you have a track program, we don't.
Yeah.
It's perfectly safe for walkers, and it's heavily used by the community as a walking track.
Yeah.
And, you know, little kids and all kinds of recreational positive use. But for a real track program, they need to, they're responsible for the safety.
So maybe we should be sending something from the council that says, you can't have a track program on that this spring because we don't support it. It's your program, you either need to fix it or, I mean, we should be proactive, that's all I'm suggesting.
And I don't disagree with that. Let us get through this negotiation super happy and see if we can keep them happy.
Great, thank you.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
It's kind of nice going last. Most people ask you questions, so it makes it a little easier. I guess one of the questions I'm going to have is, I know it's supposed to be a cost savings going with the turf. What is the usual annual maintenance cost for doing a turf?
It's just basically.
You're talking, we add crumb rubber to the field a couple times a year, and a 1,000-pound bag of that is, you know, about a couple $1,000, about $2 a pound
So
approximately.
5,000, 10,000.
So 5,000-10,000 a field on rubber, and then you have probably 8 to 12 days of maintenance where you bring a tractor out there. There's a roller that picks up the junk, and then it also another broom type machine that pulls the monofilament fibers up and gives you that look. So-
Gotcha. And if it was a grass field, I'm trying to, is it cheaper to go with the turf long-term, or is it just it's easier, like a bigger cost up front and then just shorter maintenance cost to it? I'm always trying to figure that part out.
Shorter maintenance costs, because then you're gonna have irrigation, you're gonna have, you've gotta have, well, we've got drainage out there already, but you're gonna have irrigation mowing it, you got the equipment to mow it, you have the manpower to mow it, there's a lot more maintenance cost to it, whereas every couple of months we go out there, like Jason says, and, do the cleanup on the field with the tow behind on the 3-point of the tractor there, and stand those fibers up so they look like grass, you know, and fill in the with the crumb rubber and that once a year. That's just a top dresser, so it's a lot more focused.
Got-
In addition
The
to
other
that-
big, yeah, is playability.
Yeah, playability and year-round playability.
Yes.
Here, a grass field, NRPA standards, National Parks and Recreation Association, recommends no more than like 50 or 60 games in a calendar year on a grass field in the Northwest. We are playing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games on field turf because you can play day and night. It's been one of my visions to have midnight leagues. And it's done when Boeing was shift working, I was working with them to get their late-night people who got off at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, whatever time that shift gets off, and play all night. And the added value is good people in the park doing good things versus bad people in parks doing bad things. So the playability, the year-round playability, and the good for the community they're all tremendous benefits of having artificial turf over grass in the Northwest.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Yeah, I see them playing 10 o'clock in that field every now and then themselves. My next question is going to be more about the school side of things. Do we currently have any agreement with them on any of this stuff, or is this just conversation we're having?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the ILA, it runs in perpetuity, but there was a clause in there that talked about it being renegotiated in 2018 or something like that, and it was a 25-year agreement originally. So even though we don't have a current active agreement, it is active because it's a perpetuity agreement. But what we've done is we've kind of expanded that and refreshed it after 25 years, so it makes more logistical sense in how we operate today.
Gotcha. And if my understanding is correct, then the current agreement is 50/50 on the field replacement?
So on large projects, it's.
On this particular one, only this particular one, the Sacagawea one.
Turf, well, what we're requesting is that our portion is the $700,000 grant that George received that was no cost to the city, because that's free money coming in.
Yep.
The remaining 102,000 would be entirely the school districts.
No, I
That's
get
what
that.
we proposed.
No, well, my question is, though, does the current ILA actually state that it's like a 50/50 on that particular product, or that particular?
I don't think it calls it out as 50/50. It says that we will split them equally. Large projects will be split equally. And then it also talks about the project management being altered every other project. They manage one project, we manage one
Okay.
project, so that those impacts are shared as well.
Gotcha. And then my next question would be to legal. Is there any, what would be the standing on this one for the school district having to pay their percentage of this? Are they legally bonded or required to pay this since we're moving forward with this?
I mean, currently, we'd be operating under the current language, which is just say equally. I don't think the ILA at the time was drafted contemplating a large grant being utilized to fund some of these potentially. If it is a purely 50/50, then as Jason mentioned, the city would only have to be contributing 400,000. In this case, we're bringing 700,000 to the table via the grant. So I think 102,000 that the city would have to, that the school district would have to pay is well below the equal split of the overall cost. I think the school district may want to, I don't want to get into like the negotiation publicly, right? So I really don't want to speculate too much in a public setting on what they may argue, but I think we would have good cause to say, look, we're contributing far more than 50% of this particular project for both entities. And as these guys have mentioned, it's a bargain for them at 102, so.
Oh, yeah, because technically, to Councilmember Dovey's point, is if we're bringing 7, that's 1.4 of our part, which would be the whole bloody project, including the track. So technically, we brought the money for the track and everything included. I'd be interested to know if that could be part of the negotiation. We've already paid the part for the track, too. But that's just me throwing something out there for you guys to think about. All right, just wanted to see if that was legally binding or not. Thank you.
All right, thank you, George and Jason. If there's no other questions, do we have a motion?
I move approval of the proposed grant acceptance, contract award, and release of levy funds for the Sacagawea Turf Project.
There a second?
Wait, that was the council.
Oh.
You're right.
Okay, the committee recommendation is I move to forward the proposed grant acceptance, contract award, and release of levy funds to the September 16th, 2025 consent agenda for approval. Just trying to move this along faster for you.
That's why I didn't second it first. Second?
It's been moved and seconded with the right motion now. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, it passes unanimously.
Thank you guys
All
very
right,
much.
hey, thank you, guys. And
Appreciate your guys'
thanks
discussion.
for all you do with the parks. It's truly appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, next we have AWC Energy Audit Program. And I believe that is Autumn Gressett.
Sorry, the podium moved a little bit. Good evening, Council, or Chair Walsh and Council President Kochmar and council members. Sorry, I'm rusty. I haven't seen you guys in a little while. Thanks for having me this evening. Autumn Gressett, I'm the contract administrator for the Parks Department. In front of you, the first one that I have is the AWC Energy Audit Grant Program. This is informational only as we jump the gun a little bit. This opened on September 2nd. This grant was originally open for $4 million. They did the first round at the beginning of the year. There's about $1.5 million left. We felt like we had all of the budgets in place for our audit proposals from our ESCO program that came out of that DES contract you guys approved in the spring. But we're finalizing those a little bit more. So we actually will be applying for this next week. But we wanted to give you guys the information that these audits will help us stay on track for compliance with all of the clean energy that's coming through the legislation, as well as this will allow us to complete the first phase of the Dumas Bay envelope study. It'll get us right on track with that and allow us to tie that into a consultant study to close out a full report on what needs to be done down at Dumas Bay. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them, but it is just informational only.
No questions?
Okay.
Wow.
I do have one. When would you propose the envelope study be done?
We anticipate that we will hear back by the end of September to early October about this grant. If those grants come forward, we would go ahead and give our ESCO Mac Miller the approval to move forward with the initial audit on Dumas Bay. That initial energy audit, they call it an IGA, integrated, oh, my brain just went sideways. Either way, that initial audit, they anticipate can take 3 to 6 months because there's so much within a building envelope study. And then we would do one additional phase after that. So mid-2026 is sort of what we're looking at. Integrated energy audit. Thanks,
So
Jason.
we would have the information we need at sometime in mid-2026.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Autumn.
Thank you.
And I think that the next item is yours as well. Item H, Federal Way Community Center locker room funding allocation.
That is correct. In front of you tonight, the policy question is, should the city council approve the funding allocation of $102,000 from the Parks Levy for Federal Way Community Center locker room project? A little bit of context, in January 2025, you guys approved the Merit construction contract. And then we came back in April 2025 to ask for an additional contingency of $208,000, and that was because we were going to be delayed until July 25th of 25 due to manufacturing issues between the lockers and the partitions. Unfortunately, no control of any of us, but due to a lot of damage from the hurricanes in North Carolina, that pushed out to the end of August as well. Our lockers have now shown up, and we are installing those and trying to work through last-minute pushes to get all of our trim in, but it does mean that we've had to extend our temporary locker rooms and negotiate with Merit for a little bit more compensation and time, because some of that was out of their control. So that extension we offered through September 7th through negotiations, and then we anticipate being able to do some punch list walks here in the coming days. But about half of that is additional compensation for our contractor, and the other half is keeping our temporary locker rooms open so our pools can stay open up until we open our locker. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Don't see lights, so I'll, what is the latest on completion?
We
project.
anticipate substantial completion, which is not an opening date, somewhere around the 26th of this month. But again, that is not an opening date, that is substantial completion. Nearly everything is in, and we're hoping to close out punch lists. I hope to be able to provide you an answer as soon as we meet with our contractors again at the end of this week.
So 26 for a substantial completion, so opening date sometime in October then, or?
Yes, to be determined. That is our goal. But as with any construction project and final punch list, I don't want to provide an exact date until we do that punch list walk. But again, we have meetings with our contractors at the end of this week, and I'm happy to provide an email update to you guys in the next couple of weeks, so that way you know, and you'll see it come out from us first.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, just a question, it's probably for John more than for you.
Okay.
So far, I've heard 102,000 from King County levy and 100 and something if the school district doesn't play. How much is left in that fund, and do you have enough money to do both these projects?
Yes, we have enough money. I'm going to phone a friend he was just looking at the budget.
We just spent $250,000 among friends. I mean, do we have 300 and only 50 left, or where do we stand?
I believe we're at about 700,000 left. If you look at the 120 in the CIP, you'll see about 500,000 there. And then as part of the 25-26 budget process, we had moved about 200 or 250,000 into a path and trail repair account. So technically, there's 500 in the levy that's been unallocated, but we allocated about 252 trail repairs. We've only spent about 69 of that this year to repair Palisades Pathway, which was just recently completed.
Okay, so what you just told me is this is really budgeted. This doesn't impact our budget, it just defers projects. Is that correct? Because you got the money in the bank, you're just saying we're going to spend it this way instead of the way you want it to.
It's a priority situation, yeah.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just,
Yeah,
it's not like we're taking money away that we didn't have.
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, and the thing is that's where we like to have a little bit of this levy money sitting there unallocated, because we have such a deferred maintenance backlog that we don't know what's gonna be the problem today.
Got
And
it.
so we've got to be nimble to react when those problems happen.
So you don't know what's going to break next.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Is it possible to get the total cost of all the work that's been done between the slide, the pools, the locker rooms, all the associated costs with bringing in temporary showers, temporary locker rooms? Is it possible to get a total amount of what it's cost and where the money has come from, so I can just have it on one sheet of paper and I can, because people are asking.
Absolutely.
And I don't have an answer for them. And I'd like it really concise so I can say, this is what it is.
And so what I'm gonna, just because I've been through it, it would be the slide demo, the replacement of the slide, the replacement of the play toy in the leisure pool, all of the repairs we made into the leisure pool, and then now the locker rooms.
Yep, everything that's been done.
Encompass done
yep.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
we don't have it right
Okay.
now, but we can get that to you.
And then all of, the cost for the portable locker rooms and all
Yes.
of that kind of stuff, and any additional staff time that has gone into this, and thank you, appreciate it.
Right. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, that was actually one of my first questions. I've already mentioned it, though, so I will be probably pulling this from consent agenda to have that conversation at the council meeting. The second question I have is on the fund. What are the park funds allowed to do, or is it more or less what they're not allowed to do? What can that money be utilized for? Because I know we used it for maintenance, capital, land purchase.
So we are on, I believe, the third iteration of the King County levy. When the King County levy was first passed, it was specifically for trails and pathways. It was about connecting that, and the language was really bound to that. So that money we can collect it from that levy, and I can't give you the years off the top of my head, but that went to the complete Panther Lake Trail development, and that's how we utilized that, and it kept it in that shoehorned criteria. This grant this cycle on the King County levy and the one that was just approved that starts in 2026, it's pretty well open, and parks and recreation agencies or cities can use it as they see fit based on policymakers and recommendations that way. So we have a lot of liberty. One thing that I'm checking into is there's some facility repairs that we need. And could we leverage that? I don't know. That's a technicality standpoint. I'm thinking probably not. There is some benefit, but it doesn't lean to that recreation side. But there's some gray area that I'm looking to get clarified from King County.
Is there anything that explicitly say you cannot use it for?
Not
your
that I recall, and to my knowledge, I know it's geared to that. Now, we couldn't use it to, fund something in the CD department or road infrastructure.
In parks, yeah.
It's got to be within parks, purview.
Gotcha. All right, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, this is an action item, so do we have a motion?
Me? Okay.
I'll do it. I move to forward the proposed funding allocation for the Federal Way,
Yep.
for the Federal Way Community Center locker room projects to the September 16, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Could I ask for one point of clarification, please?
Sure.
And so you were looking for that spreadsheet, Councilmember McDaniel and Honda, for the presentation, because you said you're going to pull it from consent, and so you want that available at next week's council meeting?
I didn't know he was gonna ask for it.
Okay,
I will, yes.
yeah, and so I just want to be prepared at that council meeting, and we'll make ourselves available.
Is that?
Thank you.
Just a question for staff, can you pull that together that quickly, by next week? That's pretty quick turnaround. We can definitely get you all the information you're requesting, but I don't know if we can get it by Tuesday night.
We'll do our best to accommodate that if we run into problems, or, I know Steve Groom is on vacation this week, so, we might not be able to get some of that information till Monday, but I think Autumn and I are on top of this enough that we should be able to have that for you next Tuesday.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I had no idea he was gonna
Oh,
ask.
no, and fair enough, I couldn't remember which one of you.
I can't read your mind.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, thank you, Autumn. All right, next, item I, the PAC update. Station Winters.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Walsh, Council President Kochmar, and Council and Committee members. I'm Stacia Winters, the General Manager at the Performing Arts Center, here to do the monthly update on the PAC operations. So this update is for June, July, and then just kind of year to date, since I was not at the last couple, to get us up to date on how we are doing here at the PAC. So for attendance, this is our year-to-date attendance. 26,775 people have been at the PAC for various events, and that's increased from about 18,000 in 2024. Total theaters tickets sold is 10,996. That is a slight decrease from 2024, which was about 11,000 people. So just a minor decrease, but when we get to the ticket sales, you'll see our ticket sales are actually in line. So just having a little bit higher quality shows coming through. Usage days in 2022, we had 22 usage days. We were very busy in 2022, having multiple events on many days, as you can see. This is an increase from 11 in 2024. In July, we had 18 usage days, again, a big increase from 2024, increasing by, doubling it, and had a couple large events that were over multiple days in July. For a couple of our event highlights, June events, we had Arts Explosion, which I know they gave a little bit of a report on, so I'm not going to jump in too much on it, but it was an excellent event. We had the private Friday night with all the artists, and that's their awards ceremony, and then, of course, the 3 days that it was open to the public. Overall, their attendance was over 1,100 people, which is awesome. That's about in line with last year. So great to see that continuing to do awesome. And then we also had our summer movie series this summer. This year it was sponsored by Arts Foundation Federal Way. We had 5 different movies that we played throughout the year, completely free for families to come enjoy. We had crafts for kids before the movies, usually a fun little photo op, themed snacks and things. And then, of course, they got to see the movie. This year, we had 5 movies and 605 attendees. That's an increase from last year. We had 455 people attend our movies last year, and that was over 7 movies. So we had a big increase per movie, which was awesome. Another big thing that we had this summer, in July, we had our Chalk Art Festival. This is one of our new free community events that we've started this year with our free community event series. It was a ton of fun. It was completely outside. We had craft vendors, we had a food truck, we had obviously our art, which I'm going to get a little bit more into, but we also had some performances by a couple different groups as well, including Jet Cities. It was a ton of fun, and we had 406 attendees come, and that's our highest attended event so far as our free public events. So really excited to see that continuing to grow, and we have a couple more coming up this year. This was, as part of it, we had a community mural that we did. So a bunch of different community members helped color this in. We paid an artist to come and do the structure and the outline of it. And then everybody who was there was able to help contribute, which was really fun. We also, here's a couple of the squares. Everybody got kind of assigned a little square that they could do whatever they wanted all over our patio. So here's some of the, I thought, really excellent artwork that we got to see, which was a lot of fun. As far as financials go, our revenue is here. Ticket revenue year to date in 2025, we're at about $436,000. Rental revenue, $440,000. Facility fees, $68,000. Food and beverage revenue, $275,000. And other revenue, this includes sponsorships, merchandise, kind of the other things that don't fit into those categories, $26,000. For a total revenue year-to-date in 2025 of $1.2 million. As you can see, this is already a large increase from last year. At this time, we were at about $950,000. So excited to see that continue growing for the rest of the year. We are currently on track to have the best revenue year that the PAC has ever had, which is great to see. We're already hitting really good numbers. Event operating income, as a reminder, event operating income is basically how much money the events make, so the event revenue minus the event expenses. In June, our event operating income was $86,000, July $72,000. Year to date, we're at $333,000, almost $334,000 in event operating income. This is an increase of about $130,000 from 2024. Financials year-to-date, our total revenue is 1.2 million, as I said. Total event expenses was 900,000. Operating expenses was 862,000 for a net investment into the PAC of $517,000. For our qualitative goals for Oakview Group, let's see, there is this minor change in this than what was in the packet. The ticket revenue and the food and beverage, I just did backwards, so you'll see that minor change if you compare them, but nothing actually changed. I just did the graph wrong in that packet. So food and beverage revenue, as of July, we are accomplished 59%. I do expect us to exceed that goal. We are 97% accomplished in our theater rental revenue goal. Again, I expect us to exceed that, of course. 83% accomplished in our event space rental revenue. I also expect us to exceed that. We are 21% accomplished in our, that's not right. We're about 51% accomplished in our ticket revenue goal. We are in line to right about hit that. We do have a couple shows that just went on sale that I think is going to bump us over our goal. My last forecast, we were right about hitting it 100%. So should hit that number, which is exciting. Attendance, we are 67% accomplished. I expect us to exceed that goal as well. Usage days, we're 72% accomplished. Our goal is 222 usage days. Currently on the books, I have 263, so we will exceed that by quite a bit. And then free community events, we have already reached our goal. Our goal is 5 free community events. Our goal is 5 free community events. We have already held 5, and we have 4 more coming up in the year. And then our event types, so Arts for Youth, we've already held 3 Arts for Youth. We'll have another 3, so we will hit that goal. Nonprofit, we have already exceeded our goal with holding events with nonprofits. Banquets and meetings, we have also already hit this, we have already hit this goal. 70% as of July, and we will hit this goal. We have 19 more contracted with banquets and meetings. And then Arts for Youth, weddings, Sorry, my thing is backwards on this. My apologies. We have held 2 weddings so far this year. Our goal is 4, and we have 1 more to hold, and we are hoping to lock 1 in more for the end of the year. And then finally, we did just want to give a little bit of an update on our resident artist organizations, especially going into their season. I know that there's been a lot of conversations. As far as what we have done so far since the city signed their MOUs last year to waive fees, involved 2024, $35,000 in fees were waived for the resident artists. 2025 year to date, so up through July, $43,000 in fees have been waived, and another $39,000 is estimated to be waived to get them through December. Their MOU currently extends through December of 2025, so total estimated is $82,000. The funding for this that has come through so far, in 2025, we were awarded $30,000 in the For Culture grant, and through Arts Foundation Federal Way, they received a grant as well for $5,000 that they are putting towards the arts, the resident artist organizations. Looking forward, Autumn will be bringing forth a request to extend the MOUs through June 2026 to the next committee meeting. The way that the resident artists work is their seasons do run August through June. So this will help get them through their season so that they know that they're covered for their season. We estimate that fees to be waived in spring of 2026 to be about $50,000. And we do already have funding allocated from that For Culture grant for $30,000. So the additional $20,000 would be hitting the PAC operational budget. Moving forward, there will need to be more discussions with Autumn coming forward with that next month. But the only other funding we currently have planned for this program is another $30,000 in 2027. So just that you are aware of where all those things stand. And then just a few of our upcoming events on September 18th, so next Thursday, Arts Foundation Federal Way has their fundraising event, Make an Impact at the PAC. I know a few of you, I believe most of you, are already on our RSVP list, so we're excited to have you all there, and thank you for your support there. Our next free community event is also in October, on October 4th. That's going to be a fall festival. We're going to have activities inside. We have another community art project that we're doing, and we're also showing the movie Coco in the theater, so it should be really fun, completely free to the public again. And then a few other upcoming concerts that we're really excited about. We have our first PAC Presents show, so it's opening our PAC Presents season with Jake Shimabukuro on September 16th. That is a week from today that we're very excited about. And then we also have Abracadabra and Abra Tribute and Electric Elton and Elton John Tribute coming up. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Right, Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, could you go back to the revenue real quick? I just got one quick question on that one. And while you're doing that, my question is going to be pretty simple. You doubled revenue for rental. How?
We've been very busy. Honestly, like, that's just kind of the first, of course, last year. I think the beginning of the year was a lot slower last year because of the transition with Brian leaving and me coming on. There were a lot fewer days. I've also been very strategic with how we rent our days. Our weekends are a lot, more expensive to rent now because we just truly don't have any weekends. So we're a lot more strategic to make sure that we are capitalizing on our busiest days and getting the revenue that the building is worth.
Gotcha. So when that doubles, are these people who are just renting out the facility and no other revenue streams come from that? Because that's what what I don't get is it doubles that, but then everything else is marginal increases.
Yeah, so the rental would include rental for, we do have some that don't do anything else. They might not have any food and beverage or really anything else. And the rental revenue does include, it's not just purely rent, it is also staffing. It is, we've included some upsell things, like we do hospitality baskets in the bathroom now. Little things that are upsell, so it's rental and service rentals, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So there's other things that are being, it says
Correct.
rental, but there's some small
It's not
things.
purely just rent. It's rental and other services that don't fall in facility fees and food and beverage.
And just because they rent doesn't mean it's a ticketed event or anything else.
Correct. It might not be
that can
ticketed, also might not be food and beverage. We do have like some church groups that don't do any of that stuff, but they're basically just purely rent. So,
Okay.
yes.
And then if you could pop through the MOU, my question on the MOU one is, so it sounds like 25 is taken care of. You guys are going to come, back one, please.
This one?
This one here, yeah. So on this one, when you say estimated waived fees of 50,000 and then funding of 30, does that mean that there's 50 is the total waived fees, 30 will come from the funding of the for culture, and then 20 will come out of you guys as operating?
Would hit the, PACS operating.
I think it was $100 and some $1,000, so is there a reason why this number is so much different from what the original,
So the
previous number is?
original was about 100 a year, which if you look at 2025, we're looking at 82 a year. So we're closer with that. The slight difference was especially then we were just kind of looking forward and guessing. We've also worked with the resident artist organizations, of course, them knowing that we're waiving these fees. They've worked with us as far as what kind of staffing can we do. They've brought in a couple volunteers to help cover a couple things so we didn't need staff so that those fees are down to help limit the impact. So kind of a joint venture there.
So 50,000, well, maybe not moving forward, but for 50,000, it's going to be able to do pretty much everything with it.
50,000 would be like just the spring. So 2025, 50,000 is only the spring. It'll be that 80 to 90 a year for the full year
Okay.
to cover everything.
Do we have any planning for the second part, or are we just worried about the first part at the moment?
So that's what currently Autumn is going to bring forward for that next year, just to move us to that fourth part. And then I believe continue conversations about, do we continue this program? How do we continue this program? What does that look like moving forward?
Gotcha.
You want to speak to? Okay.
No, and the last one I have is the Make an Impact, the Art Foundation. What do those what does the rental fee usually go for, something like that, when someone wants to rent it out for
So
fundraising?
the Arts Foundation, part of their MOU is they don't pay rent for that event. That is included in their MOU with the city so that they can raise those funds to cover the arts for youth things. But typically, so their event is only using a couple of our rooms. So it depends on what room you have. We have a number of different rates depending on what room you have and if it's a weekday or a weekend. So I'm happy to go over that more in detail with you sometime, but it kind of depends on where they're at. if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
So that one's actually covered by an MOU then, so it's
Correct,
not-
yes,
okay.
that one is covered.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Council President.
Thank you, Stacy. So you're doing a great job. Thank you. Looks like it's coming along really well. I'm not really into the music scene, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, so you have to apologize.
No.
But, so remind me who our resident artists are?
So that would be Federal Way Symphony, Federal Way Youth Symphony Orchestra, Jet Cities Chorus, and the Federal Way Chorale.
Well, a couple of ideas, because I'm talking to some people about ideas. Now, I actually have been around a long time, but I don't do a lot that has to do with music. But I actually recognize Elton John, I recognize ABBA, but I have some people who are different age groups saying, that doesn't fit my age group, which like White Snake, I haven't got a clue what that is. At any rate, but I know that they've been down in Aberdeen, White Snake, whatever the heck that is. I know Kiss, but I don't know about White Snake. So I'm just joking at the moment. But it'd be fun to have different ideas. For example, Ian Tongi is actually from Federal Way. And it'd be fun to have our own America's Got Talent, where you have the resident artist, and you have somebody who would judge the talent. When you get the local talent coming on stage, you get all the relatives and the moms and dads and the kids, and they all want to see their relative do well. It'd be fun to have something like that, so where you have that. But, there's another thing. When I drive to Portland quite often. Everything between Centralia and Vancouver, it's all country western. Now, I know we're not really country western here, but I know that when my kids go to Tennessee, they have a ball because they wear the Stetson and they get the boots and they do the line dancing. It'd be fun to have a weekend where we have just plain old country western music. I mean,
I'm definitely trying to expand. It's kind of slowly, slow and steady, but Federal Way is incredibly diverse. There is so many markets and cultures that I don't feel like we are tapping into as much, and that's something that I'm working on. We have 2 Hispanic groups that are actually going to be coming this year. It'll be, I believe, the first Hispanic groups that have ever been at the PAC. So I am slowly trying to catch some of those things. Country is another one that has actually been on my list to find a good fit, to find something, because there's a lot of untapped genres and things that haven't necessarily been at the PAC that we're trying to tap into. For sure.
I know that Renton used to have a local nightlife where they do line dancing. It'd be fun to have something like that, with the red and white tablecloth and the boots and the hats and the, whatever country western folks like to do.
Absolutely. I agree. That would be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question on what Council President just talked about. It would seem to me, when you're looking for these groups, they have to invest money to rent the place, to take the risk to do country western, or whatever it is. Have we ever thought about, if we really want to get these here, having a program where we share the risk with them? So the promoter comes in and maybe they don't have to rent, but we get half the tickets to make it up and then they get the rest? Or we do that kind of creative marketing?
We do that. So our PAC Presents season, Jake Shimobuku, those shows are ones that I book directly and that we pay for the artist to come. So those are ones when I'm looking, like, I'm taking that risk analysis and working with Autumn. Do we think we're going to make money on this show? And then we also do work with some of our promoters. It's called a co-promotion. So we agree to take on part of that risk to share some of the ticket revenue and some of those things. So those are things that we do, yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. On usage days for another facility similar to ours, how do we rate for our usage days to another facility similar to ours?
Yeah, I would say honestly very high. As far as theater, some of our theater rentals, some theaters can be a little bit busier as far as theater rentals. We are in a unique position that we do have the event space as well. We are not fully staffed we're not staffed enough, honestly, to run the 350 days a year, but we're running almost all of our non-weekend days, assuming you give staff 2 days off. So we're almost at capacity if you were to consider all staff had 2 days off, since we don't have double staff in any department currently. So we're honestly very high up there from other venues that I have been at. We're about as busy as we were when I was at another venue that had a theater and a separate convention center, but we also had we had 2 people in every single department to run that, and we're almost as busy as we were out there. So we're getting up there, to be honest, on usage days. Right now we're focusing on figuring out not only quality clients and quality events to have, but then also balancing, of course, those free usage events and everything, and how to balance all of that so we can hit our numbers without completely, throwing out our staff. So it's a delicate balance, but for what we are right now, we're getting up there. We have a little bit more growth to do, I think, in the next 1 or 2 years. And then after that, it'll be look at, how do we increase staffing or change those things so that we can continue to grow? Because realistically, depending on staffing, we could operate every day of the year technically, and we're getting up there.
So if we're getting to where the staff is maxed out and, I mean, the goal of the PAC is actually to make money, not to have the city, have to give money to the PAC to run. Is it possible to get to that point if you don't have the staff?
That's where we're looking at clients and adjusting, even just in this last year, adjusting what some of our rental rates are, charging more on the weekends so that we are making more money per event and being able to continue growing revenue without overextending our staff. And then as we continue to grow that revenue, we'll have the money to cover the staff to continue growing and then add more event days. So it's kind of a perpetual thing. I think when I came on, staff was pretty much maxed out. We added the staff members that we needed, which is why we've seen such a huge growth this year, is because we added some key positions and key staff members to help make that growth happen. I think we still have another year or two of growth if we continue at this rate, that we can see that with our current staff. And then in that time, it'll be a discussion of, do we need to add more staff to continue seeing this growth rate, if that makes sense.
So since you've been there, what staff have you added?
So since I came on, we have added 2 positions. We had a marketing, kind of a part-time marketing. It's now full-time marketing and special events. That covers our free community events, and he handles all of that. And then our sales position, which is our sponsorship sales as well as event sales. He covers both of those. So those are the two key ones that are 2 of our biggest revenue drivers, of course, marketing to market the venue and to rent it and to come for tickets, as well as sales for all of the event rentals.
So what about naming rights? Do we still have someone that's working on that?
Yep, our sales manager is always working on that, continually working with different people. I know that he's had a couple discussions. We have not gotten incredibly far on any of those discussions. But constantly working on that. We also work with corporate. We have a corporate team that assists him with that as well whenever they hear of companies and things that are looking into some of those things.
So is it a surprise to you that after being open as long as we've been open, that we don't have someone who wants to have naming rights on this building?
I wouldn't, not surprised personally. Theaters, the idea of naming theaters in the way that we're going after it is a pretty relatively new thing. Previously, theaters have really only been named if somebody passed away and left a very large endowment or things. That's kind of the historical history of naming a theater. Commercially naming a theater, which is what we're going after, is a pretty new thing. I only know of a couple theaters even in the country that are doing that, so it's a pretty new thing. And I think, again, we're really just starting to see the potential of the PAC. So I think in the next couple of years, how the PAC does is going to help drive that a lot more, because we're showing how much growth is possible, which is what those commercial partners want to see.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I have one more question. You made the comment, you're going to, I'm paraphrasing, you grow the PAC and then you hire people. And then typically in business, you hire people to grow the revenue.
Right.
So are we being like too conservative to grow the revenue? I mean, if you had money to actually have a salesperson more to go out and get more deals and put it together, wouldn't the revenues come in faster? I mean, maybe you already do, but to me, that sounds like the wrong attitude, waiting for the money to come in to grow instead of investing the money to grow.
Sorry, I may have misspoke. What I'm saying is that we did add the staff last year. That is helping us grow now. So I think that we're in our, you add staff and then that revenue does come in because you added staff. That's where we're right now.
Right.
So I'm thinking 2 to 3 years from now, when we have reached the growth potential with the staff numbers and with the staff that we have, then you continue to add more staff naturally.
I see.
Does that make sense? What
I mean, it makes sense.
speaking
To me, it's kind of like maybe not aggressive enough. I mean, you make money when you invest money, not when you wait for money to come in.
I agree, and I think we made that investment with those hires last year, and we'll need to again in another who knows how many years, 3 to 5 years or so. I think that we're at a good point right now. We still have growth room.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So when the PAC was being designed, I remember sitting in the conference room, and we had a lot of discussions about the upstairs room, which has a beautiful view of Mount Rainier, and having that as a special rental room, not just for special events, but during an actual event at the PAC where you could have a VIP event there.
Yeah.
And that has really never happened. Is there a reason why we're not doing that? Did it not, did that vision, was that just something that you don't think people would pay extra to have a VIP event there? Or are we not marketing that space?
We do VIP events up there for, we don't do it for every single show, but a variety of shows we do. We have a number of VIP events up there, including the Federal Way Symphony does one once a year after one of their shows. They do a VIP thing as well up there in October. We have a number of art rentals that use it for things like that as well. So it does get utilized for that. I am not totally sure as far as like rentals. There isn't a ton of AV, and that is kind of our limitation in that room as far as other rentals for meetings and things.
There's not what?
Audio-visual
Oh,
elements
why-
in there.
Why is that?
I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure if it got cut or if it was never included in the build. That's something that I'm currently working on, is hopefully in the next year being able to build out that AV a little bit more, so that we can utilize it more. We're coming up with a lot of ideas. It has been rented more this year than I believe it ever has in the past. We're trying to really push that space. We've done 2 smaller like parties up there that were, honestly, they were really high quality parties. They brought in a lot of gorgeous decorations and things. So we're trying to work with what is in there, but also I am looking to the future and how can we expand that so we can get more of those smaller corporate meetings in there. Right now our limitation is the audiovisual element. It's just very difficult in that room because of the way that the sun comes in. It has a projector right now is all, and it just doesn't operate well in that room. So we're working on improving that so that it's more rentable, but it is used quite frequently as well for a number of things.
How many people can it hold?
20 to 30 max. Kind of
So-
depends on the setup.
For a standalone, where you just have high tables and people drinking and eating, is it still just 20 to 30?
That would be like 35, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
With the rental revenue, as Paul said, you've pointed out, you've doubled it, and you said it was that you're working hard to do it. Can you give some specifics on how are you working hard to
Yeah.
double that revenue?
Absolutely. So part of that is bringing on that sales manager. He and I aggressively go after conferences and things. We've really increased the number of conferences and multi-day events that have come because we're putting out bids and asking people to come to the back, as well as we're doing more marketing of the venue itself and what kind of rentals you can do at the venue. And then, of course, just booking concerts and things. I'm trying to expand our promoter network so that more promoters that bring in outside shows and are renting the venue know what's there and know what they can do.
Okay, all right, thank you. And lastly, the council president mentioned one name, Ian Tongi, a local guy. I mean, has there been any effort, and is there a possibility of getting him?
There is in the future, for sure. I actually did reach out this year and tried to look at getting him in this year, but he did perform at the Washington State Fair, and there is a radius and a number of days clause and all of those fun things. So I think they just kind of got to him first, but he is in my network to hopefully bring in the future.
All right, great. I was
Yes.
at a funeral last week, and he sang at it, and I was
Yeah.
impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
great. He's
Before
on
I
my
just
list.
seen him
I'm-
on TV, and on TV he's
Yes.
great. In person, he was wow.
He's
So
great,
anyway,
yes.
All
Definitely
right.
hoping to bring him back.
yeah. All right. It looks like there's no further questions. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
report.
Absolutely.
And thanks for the good work. And item J, Dumas Bay update. Dave Clemens.
This isn't the one. That's okay. Good evening, Chair Walsh, Council President Kochmar, committee and council members. It's good to see you all again. My name's David Clements. I'm the manager of the Dumas Bay Center, and it's an honor to round out your evening. This is not correct. Give me just a moment so I can pull up the correct slideshow. There we go. I'm sure some of you have seen this. I know that a few of you attended Fusion, but I just want you to take a look at our new entryway, sans the covered walkway. It's really beautiful, and we've gotten a lot of really wonderful feedback on this. That is as of the beginning of July. Okay,
Before you go on, can you tell us why you took it down? Was it damaged in any way, or?
badly. It was a disaster waiting to happen. It was full of water. It was rusted. The paint was peeling off, multiple layers of lead paint. It was definitely an eyesore. And as part of our first impression, it has made a huge difference in the appearance of the center. Granted, we've got some rainy days in front of us, but we do have an awning that we'll be putting up at some point in the near future too.
And the fountain, I noticed, wasn't working?
It is now.
Okay.
The artist needed to come out and do some repair work. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to fully repair. It's got a pretty severe
Right.
leak, but it is operational and it is running again.
When I was on the Arts Commission years ago, we knew it had a line through the middle of the rock
Yeah.
that could fail at any point, so.
Yeah. We're going to do a much better job when the winter freeze comes of draining it and protecting it much better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I didn't see you all that long ago, so there's not a massive update that I'll be providing for you tonight, but I will give you the numbers current through August 31. So for our revenue, at a glance, our conference and lodging revenue is currently at $326,000. Our catering revenue is coming in at $106,000. Food and beverage provided by Dumas Bay directly, the revenue is at $47,000. And miscellaneous revenue, this would include equipment rentals, staffing fees, etc., is at $17,000. Our total revenue right now is $498,000. To break this down to our monthly average, so the year-to-date numbers we just went through, our conference and lodging revenue monthly is sitting at approximately $40,000 per month. Catering is averaging around $13,000. Dumas Bay food and beverage is averaging around $5,000, technically just under $6,000, and then the miscellaneous revenue is sitting at about $2,000 per month. Next, I'm going to break down our expenses. So year to date, I didn't update the date, but that is through the end of August. The year to date here for the kitchen expenses is $37,000, averaging around $4,700 per month. The overall expense for the general account is sitting at $119,000, and we're averaging just under $15,000 per month here. The kitchen, or excuse me, the theater expenses year to date is just over $5,000, averaging around $700 per month. And then staffing, I'm right at $192,000, averaging around $24,000 per month here. Since I saw you last, we went through all of the numbers through June, so I'll just give the July and August usage numbers. As a reminder, social and meetings, this is calculated as just singular day events. So in July, we had 7, and in August, 6. Retreats would be multi-day events where lodging is utilized, so overnight capacity. A total of 10 days in July, and in August, 18. And the theater, KFT, was in use 10 days in July and 20 days in August. Last time I was up here, I was telling you how I review a lot of numbers, and today I'd like to give you a really quick snapshot of some of the groups that have come through recently at Dumas Bay. They really are the stars and deserve some light. I want to be fair to the privacy of our groups, so I'm going to keep this brief, but these are some that were recent and stuck out to me. Accent Care was recently in the building. They rented our basement and provided a 2-day grief camp for children. This was specifically for children who experienced loss or trauma of some sort. It was 2 full-day rentals of the basement. I'm very proud of that. The basement is underutilized, but is currently being rented more often. On Time Productions is a grassroots production that rented the theater. It's essentially a one-woman show, a very small cast and crew, but it was written and directed by Dr. Deborah Baker Hampton. Essentially, it's about a chair and the stories that a chair could tell if it could talk. A humorous production related to her faith. And then finally, Seattle Men Who Knit. This is a group who has been renting the Eagle View Room at Dumas Bay for decades now. It's a group of local natives as well as some who come from afar. They spend the holiday weekend, as the name implies, knitting, spinning threads, learning, teaching, and a huge camaraderie. So they've joined us, like I said, for many years, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to have their business. Though it's not on here, I just want to give a special mention. Fusion, of course, our very, very big annual event happened in the first week of August. Moved to a Saturday this year, which was a big departure from their norm. And I, as I mentioned, did see a few of you there. A special shout out to Chair Walsh. Thank you for your help at the end. It is often very difficult for me to spend any amount of time with any particular person, but I wanted to let you know I did see you and I do appreciate the help. As a special note, something I'm also very proud of, next week, over the weekend, although we've had the building in its entirety in usage in the past many times, next weekend is quite a special one. It's the first time that this will happen in my tenure at Dumas Bay, but all 3 of our conference rooms are rented by 3 different groups of individuals. Our rehearsal hall will be in use, rented by another group of individuals, and the basement will be in use, rented by a different group of individuals. The theater will also be in use, but that will be a dual rental with the Eagle View Room. So essentially, I have all parts of the building in use with food service and all of the various needs. And it's a chaotic mess, but it's a big, I would say, hurdle or milestone for Dumas Bay, at least in the 3 years that I've been there now.
How is parking going to be handled?
It's going to be tricky. It's definitely going to be tricky, but we'll make do. We always do. Yep. The good news is that the majority of our groups do have a tendency to either be dropped off, carpool, or have some type of ride-share service that delivers them to our grounds. So I think we'll be just fine.
Well,
How about the
congratulations.
overnight usage?
Yes, every single overnight room will be in use.
Great.
And that includes our suite. And then finally, just as Autumn mentioned, there is an RFQ being produced right now for a full building assessment of the Dumas Space Center, and wanted to make sure that you are all aware of that. And obviously, a lot more info to come as we progress through that path. And then, of course, as you know, I always like to end with the boys. As a completely unrelated side note, I was at the emergency vet all night last night, so I'm running on empty right now. Little Remy, who is on the left there, is not doing very well at the moment, so please keep him in your thoughts. It was a rough night, so.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Thank you, Dave. Council President.
Well, you know, have you ever been down to Quarter Deck in Des Moines?
So Councilmember McDaniel actually sent me the link, which I visited their website. I have not been there, but it is on my to-do list to make a field trip there. I thought it would be better to give you a personal experience rather than just by, visiting the website and reading about it, et cetera. Yes, that is on my list to do. No, I have not been there yet.
I did, and I did, it's packed. It is packed. Well, if it's good weather, it's really packed. But they have a stage outside for, local talent, for playing the guitar, singing, whatever. And they have tables that, are covered. Some are covered, some are just tables. And they actually, it's owned by the city, the property. It's but Des Moines, but it's actually, they rent out a concession area, so you can get, something to eat, nothing major like a sandwich and something to drink. You can even bring your own pizza if you want, right? Hey, Paul, if I say anything wrong, let me know.
You're good
But
so far.
I went there to meet Federal Way people there who said that they would come here. We had a place here. But it was very, very interesting. I'm not sure how long they're open now, whether they'd still be open, but please go down there, check it out, see if it fits Des Moines, Dumas Bay, I'm sorry.
Will do.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a boat? It's a ship or whatever.
Oh, quarterdeck. So, thank you. Oh, no, it's actually, it's a part of if you're at Anthony's, it's one part of the waterfront area. You go to the other end of the waterfront area in Des Moines. There's a little park there. You can park in the parking lot. And in the park area, owned by the city, they have a little building, which is where they rent out concession to some local concessionaire. And they have tables and chairs and a little stage. And people just go there to gather and listen to the music and, camaraderie. It's very, very nice, and it just is a really wonderful way to get together. Do you have anything to add, Paul?
No, that one, and the other thing is they have Oktoberfest, and they had a music concert I went to not too long ago in the little field there, so they really utilized that property to bring in the tourism and stuff like that. So it's been really, really well utilized, and the fact that it is, like you said, rented or leased out gives that capability of that. I think there's potential for that in Dumas Bay area.
Absolutely, and they're on the water, just like we're on the water. It would fit. I mean, people, you can't get there by transit. You actually have to drive. And just maybe Oktoberfest, you could check it out.
Our view's better, though.
Right, Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. The theater looks like it was used just about every day in January, March, April, May, June. Is that the church that was using it?
Unfortunately, no. We no longer have they were called the New Day Church. They disbanded, and so we no longer have them, unfortunately. That is actually all essentially center stage's usage. And the reason that you don't see as much in July and August is because it is their off-season currently.
So are they then, if somebody else wanted to use the theater, they probably won't be able to because of the center stage? Or?
It is very challenging. There are times where they can be flexible and we can rent the facility, that portion of the facility. It is definitely a bit of a jigsaw puzzle with that, though. We have to be selective about when that is possible. During their show dates, build and tech usage, it is not a possibility to rent that space.
Do they pay the same amount per day, or do they pay more when they have a show versus when they're having building their sets or rehearsals?
They do not. They have a monthly rent that they are accountable for.
And so the monthly rent allows them to use it every day?
Essentially, yes.
Thank you.
Right, Councilmember Dovey?
Yeah, have you started planning for World Cup and renting the suites and having all the guys with Guinness show up and things like that? or is
We
that in the
will-
plans?
We'll proudly receive any World Cup business. What we're not doing is holding anything for them. We're going to continue to rent to any interested group, et cetera. My plan is to fill in the gaps with any of that business as much as possible.
Just seems with the not enough hotel rooms, there might be an opportunity to fill those rooms for whatever World Cup is.
We would love to take that business, absolutely, and will do to our maximum capacity.
Question, you know, I know that the Fusion event is really the only outside evening event during the year, isn't that correct?
Yes, to that extent. Customers are able, typically it's weddings, we do allow ceremonies to take place on the park grounds. Outside of that, they are required to utilize the indoor space for any organized gathering.
Hey, my question, and I know that John and maybe you've said that it's because of not wanting to disrupt the neighbors and stuff, but it seems like that, you know, that the neighbors know that there's a venue there. I mean, it seems to me as though we could really maximize revenue by doing more evening outside things. And, you know, maybe, hey, after 10 o'clock, you know, quiet, something like that. But not eliminating other organized evening outside events.
If I can jump in here, David, for just a second. Traditionally, and well, officially, it is a passive use park. So we're really going outside our normal, it's our only passive use park. That was an agreement with the Archdiocese when we purchased the property that it would stay passive, a place to reflect, a place to meditate, a place to enjoy nature, but it was not an event space. For example, we have to remind people that it's a passive use park when they start busting out the Frisbees and the footballs, because it's not that type of park. It's our only one that is a passive use park. And even with Fusion, we get numerous complaints from the neighbors. Because of the way sound travels up the canyons through there, we get a lot of noise complaints, and they're usually willing to work with it. They're actually very nice, the people who complain. They're kind of stunned to hear it because they live in a typically quiet area. And it was incredibly quiet when it was the visitation retreat center back when the nuns were there. And we've tried to respect that, both not only the agreement that we signed with them that it would stay passive use, but also be respectful to the neighbors. The neighbors are kind of secondary to that, but we do try to be respectful and good neighbors,
Okay.
if that helps.
So it is a written agreement.
It's a passive use park.
That's-
It's classified as a passive use park. Yeah, it is.
And it cannot be changed from that then.
That's potentially could be changed. That could be changed, but the current situation, why we don't have outdoor events is for those two reasons. That could be changed, but that would be coming from you, not
Okay,
us.
so if the council decided to change it, we could change it then,
Potentially, sure, yeah, that would be, yeah.
okay?
Chair Walsh?
Yes.
I want to add another thing, is that many of our customers utilize the Dumas Space Center because it is a retreat or escape from the hustle and bustle, from, it's very quiet, we don't even have TVs in the building. Cell service isn't the greatest there. It truly is a place of learning, of reflection. And I'm not saying that's wrong or right or that can't change, but what I am saying is that a change of that nature would greatly impact many of our customers. And I can see that that would no longer suit their needs. I think we would need to be very careful and calculated if that were to be implemented and changed.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that input. All right, it looks like we have more questions. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, John, what is the definition of a passive park?
No football, no basketball, no baseball, no music, loud music outside, anything that would be disruptive to it's a place to walk and reflect. You're welcome to take pictures. It's beautiful nature site. It's quiet. So that would be passive versus a heavily used park like a Steel Lake where you'll see frisbees flying around and footballs flying around at picnic sites where it's very active, very noisy, great place for families to enjoy the active nature of recreation. This would be the opposite of active recreation, very calm, very relaxing, a place to reflect and enjoy exactly what David just
More
articulated very well, just a quiet place to reflect and enjoy nature and quiet, away from the other things. And that's what it was the Visitation Retreat Center when we took it over from the Archdiocese. And so that was their request, is that it please stay in a passive, reflective nature as it was originally built for.
Gotcha. And then my second question is, what is the actual revenue that's generated? Like, what is the cost that's associated? Like, what did Fusion pay for that particular service? That's a full-out
I
rental.
cannot give you the exact number, but I'm going to give you a very close estimate. Let me calculate in my brain for just a moment here. They paid approximately $4,000 for that day.
Oh, that's a good deal. All right, thank you.
Right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So if, let's say the symphony wanted to hold music in the park, they could not hold music in the park down there?
Not currently.
I think we should change that. I think it would be a beautiful location to have a Sunday afternoon symphony in the park on a beautiful day. And the neighbors would probably enjoy the music.
I'm not disagreeing at all. I think they very well may love the music. I'm not sure the retreat business
Well, if
would
we're doing
appreciate
on-
it. Potentially. I'm just, there are two sides to every coin, right?
Right,
So-
correct. I think we should explore that as a council.
Council President.
I wouldn't be against exploring it. I have a sister who's a nun, and believe me, I know what a contemplative life is like. It's not for me, but it is for some. Oh, my goodness, they'd kick me out. I'd be out of there in a heartbeat. But I can understand that people do appreciate that. And, you know, if we have that agreement with Archdiocese, I'd be very reluctant to change it. But I'm not against discussing the whole issue. Maybe we need to move the whole idea to another venue, but like Steel Lake. But we could always take over Redondo again. I mean, nothing's going on down there.
Boy, I think we need to raise the militia and take it from Des Moines, just. I didn't say that.
My goodness, I take my sister with me on trips, and we sit in the same room. I can't even have the TV on. It drives me crazy. But I can understand that some people are that way, but thank you.
All right. All right, David, thank you very much. Thanks for the great report, and thank you for all the work that you do there. And you're doing a great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
And is there any other?
I have some other things.
Yes, go ahead.
This committee and then the council voted to have the wind phone installed down at Dumas Bay. And I'm wondering what's going on with that? It's been quite a while.
Either myself or Jason can answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave the Parks Commission an update last Thursday at the Parks Commission meeting. I apologize first and foremost. Our original goal was to have the wind phone in by Memorial Day. Then our secondary goal was Labor Day. We failed and we missed both for fairly good reason. Several projects, Hanrui Garden, taking over the farmer's market, and the list goes on. And so coming out of that, we received a couple emails, and there was some false information circulating in the community that the wind phone project had stopped. That is not correct. John and I met with the mayor and city administrator yesterday, and they put us on a 30-day deadline to have that installed. And so we will have that installed within 30 days. And again, it has never been our intent for it to go this long, but we only have so many people and so many hours in the day, and something had to take a back seat. Unfortunately, that was the wind phone, but now we are committed and we will have that in within 30 days.
Okay, good to know. Secondly, and I don't know who could answer this, do we have any updates on what's going on with the day center or the shelters, either Red Lion or the one downtown?
Yeah, and that wouldn't be this department, that's more of a community development situation
okay.
that are dealing with, that's human services, and so I don't have a direct role in that, I can't speak to that, I
Okay, but this
apologize.
committee oversees that kind of stuff anyway,
Yeah.
so
We-
maybe we could get an update sooner than later, because it's
Yeah,
like
well,
September?
we'll get
Sheena,
that
could
on
you
the
make a
agenda.
note of
Yeah.
that for the agenda setting next month, that we request from Keith Niven, Director of Community Development,
Yes.
to have someone come and give a report?
And it would be great to also see the agreement that the folks will sign when they rent or they move into the extended stay facility. I know that council was going to be able to review that.
Yeah, let's put that on a request.
So Sheena, if
But
you would add that
Okay.
as well, that
To
the
Keith on-
particular
on that.
request is to have, could you say that again? Woman?
So there's going to be a rental agreement
Okay,
for the
so-
folks who move into the extended stay.
So it's
and-
an update and a vetting or having a copy of that rental agreement in the packet for council's review.
And an update on the Red Lion as to what's going on over there.
Okay, so 3 items total is what I noted.
Including the day center?
And the day center.
And
what-
the day
yep,
center,
So-
yeah.
Yeah,
So that would be 4th item.
yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Paul?
Yeah, I've got the same kind of thing. I've got an email in. I've got an update from legal today, so I'll send it to you again on talking about flag policy. So that's something I'll be sending you an email.
On which
to.
policy?
Flag.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, with that, our next meeting, October 14th, 5 o'clock right here, and there will be no November meeting as currently. And with that, we are adjourned.